couple of geeks, their kids,
and a podcast that shoots first.
You're listening to the Ramble.
Rolling.
Hi, it's Kat.
And it's Heath.
And you're listening to the Ramble.
All right. So today we are talking about getting out and having a life when you're pregnant and even after you've had your kids.
Yes, because it gets really difficult and you get exhausted and tired and cranky. But it's so important to do that. It's so important to not give up.
Yes, not give up. But it's important to have a life beyond video games and Netflix and every single thing that's going to keep you home and just wiped out, no energy. One of the things that Kat has told me many times, and it's actually, she's not been the only person, other people have mentioned it too before, is that the first thing you need to focus on after having a baby is your relationship. That comes first. Baby comes second, because it's so easy to lose yourself in the little one that you forget about the wonderful person sitting next to you, and the relationships suffer.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And I mean, a lot of people are going to disagree on this, but in my experience, and also just from talking to therapists and stuff like that, basically, you come first, then the relationship, and then comes your children in that family. And so many of us have that backwards, and there's a lot of resentment that ends up happening because we don't make time for the people that we used to be, and we lose ourselves, and and that goes for both men and women. That's not just about moms. So if you value that's why date nights are so important, and that's why making sure that even if it's just going for a walk around the block together, you have that alone time, even if it means you're strapping a sleeping baby to yourself and doing that. But creating that kind of time together is super, super important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very much so.
And it's even
important before baby.
Yeah.
Because it's like for instance, third trimester, which we're in right now.
Will it never end?
I know. I don't want to say hard on Kat, but I know I listen to the doctors when they say like, Kat, bed rest, minimal movement and stuff like that, and she just wants to get out of bed and come walking around with me and everything, and I love it. It's the best when she comes to the dog park. But the thing about it is like, I know that 20-minute walk is going to equal contractions and pain. It's
really, what, not everybody's like this. Some people are like totally fine up until the last thing. And you have to listen to your body no matter what. And you have to, find that partner balance no matter what.
Yes,
but I mean, definitely for us, it's been like difficult because
very difficult.
I'm cranky because we don't get to do the stuff that we used to do.
She's very jealous of the dog. She's always like, you and Rolo think you could just go out and have a walk? Why don't you just get a place together? Maybe invite some bitches over and stuff. Why don't you go do that?
It's kind of true, which makes it even funnier. Because, it's like... It's totally true. Yeah, it's really bizarre. So, I mean, it is, what? But that's what it's so important to actually keep doing things, keep exploring things, and keep doing fun stuff together and finding new stuff. And you know what? That's one of the things that we really love doing.
Yeah.
It's not just about what new show are we going to binge watch on Netflix, even though we've totally been doing that recently.
Well, that's one of the things, like Kat being on modified bed rest and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When we're not making
podcasts.
When we're not making podcasts and she's totally having contractions and stuff like that and really can't focus on anything, it's nice just to throw on like a series and get sucked into it for a little bit.
I don't know.
And to waste a couple hours.
I'm just gonna for anybody who doesn't know my situation. Basically, I have Crohn's and I'm in third trimester, and because of the size of the baby hanging out on my intestines, I get contractions that will be 2 to 3 minutes apart for 2 days, and they're non-productive. So I don't have the baby, but I'm in excruciating amounts of crazy pain, and this has been going on for weeks, for at least 6 weeks. So it's bizarre and hilarious and frustrating, but also kind of funny.
Yes, a little bit.
A little bit now. Now it's funny because I think we're losing it. Yeah. But anyways, that's why it's been so important to find things to do and stuff like that. And when I am able to, then I want to make the most of it. Anyways, we were really lucky to have a couple people, special people come over and hang out while I was on bed rest and do a podcast with me, which was awesome.
Yes, it was kind of a spontaneous thing, but it worked out perfect. My sister, Horejda, is an actress here in Toronto and has done numerous stage plays here. We actually just saw her in Romeo.
In Juliet and her Romeo. The Deliverance of Juliet.
Yeah, Juliet and her Romeo, which was a fantastic kind of reimagining of Romeo and Juliet. It was very, very well done.
That was done by Leroy Street Theatre.
Yep.
Yeah. And anyways, so Loren came by. And Harrison Thomas, who is the artistic director and director of the play, but artistic director of Desiderata Theatre Company here in Toronto. They're doing a co-production, Desiderata and Leroy Street Theatre together. They're doing Hedda Gabler, and Loren is Hedda, and they dropped by and we did a podcast.
And
you're gonna hear a little bit about the play, because guess what? Baby or no baby, I'm going.
Yeah.
And guess what? Premiere is tomorrow at the Storefront Theatre. Tomorrow being Tuesday, August 26th. And this play
tomorrow
runs...
will be Monday. But you won't know that. It's all good.
No, we're putting this on tomorrow. So when I say tomorrow, it means Tuesday.
Okay, man.
You guys.
I'm living in the past, man. I'm living in the past.
You guys,
Yeah. So, we're going to...
So Tuesday, August 26th. Anyway, they're going to tell you all about it. They're going to tell you a little bit about it. And I'm hoping that if you're in Toronto, in the GTA, looking for something to do, pregnant, not pregnant, looking for a date, do it. Go down to the Storefront Theatre. And we'll be back after we let you know how this, after they tell you all about it.
Yeah. Yep. Listen up.
So why did you pick Hedda? What's going on with the Hedda?
With the Hedda?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Hedda doesn't actually get done all that often, despite the fact that it's been there have been consistent productions since it was first since about 20 years after it was first written back in the late 19th century. Mm-hmm. But it's surprisingly rarely done in independent theater. I think because it tends to carry these conceptions of being this period piece. It was written by this Norwegian fella by the name of Henrik Ibsen. Mm-hmm. But most of the translations Victorianize it. They kind of do an English version of the period.
Right.
So it's why it doesn't often get done. So that's why it doesn't usually. Why it does in this case is because ever since reading the play, I've always had a very strong feeling that that's actually a bit false to root it and tie it into that one period, and that in fact it's enormously available to a contemporary audience. Because ultimately, what the strongest themes of it are the quest for, or the desire for purpose, for meaning in a life that is ultimately devoid thereof. Kind of like the existential prerogative.
Right.
It's the need for love. It's the need for other people, the hunger that motivates even the most civilized human action, and the two-facedness of society, especially the upper classes, a lot of the time.
So tell me, thematically that's really beautifully put, but in terms of how it resonates with us now, just tell me the plot, literally, just a synopsis for people who don't know it.
Hedda Gabler. Okay, Hedda Gabler. Basically, what happens? So Hedda and her husband George Tessman. Fun fact, her name in the play is actually Hedda Tessman. Hedda Gabler is her maiden name. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so Hedda and George just got back from a 6-month honeymoon. Okay?
I want to go on a 6-month honeymoon.
I know,
right?
That'd be amazing.
What? 6 months long?
So they come back, and the play starts the morning after their first night in their new home. In that morning, we discover that an old rival of Tessman's, who we later discover is actually an old lover of Hedda's.
No.
But nobody knows.
Nobody knows. He's back in town, we find out. And we find this out from a girl that Hedda used to go to school with, who's back, and is madly in love with this other guy, whose name is Eilert Lovborg. I should be using names in order to disambiguate. So Eilert Lovborg's back in town, and Hedda's very excited by this. This also threatens the job prospects of her husband, George.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah. We got kind of competing interests here. So basically, Lovborg shows up at their home and starts to engage with Hedda, talk about their past, and really brings up a lot of these old decayed feelings in her heart. But in doing so, also makes very, very evident how much he cares about this other woman whose name is Taya, who has left her husband to be with Loveborg.
Whoa.
So she had the balls to do what Hedda never could. Right, she left the security to be with this like crazy genius academic, like this like visionary writer, which is what Loveborg is.
This is very, very relatable. Like, I mean, this is just
choosing
human
security.
drama.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
security.
just-
It's
Exactly.
security
Or
versus
passion.
fulfillment. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
So-
and I mean, for Hedda, it's watching your choices actually come to fruition. You know, because she has a moment where she could have accepted Loveborg, and for whatever reason, any actress wants to, you know, make the history of why she didn't and how it came to be what it is. He's there in front of her, like moved on with his life. It's watching a lover having moved on, and if anything, become more and more successful, and potentially have written the masterpiece of his time. And it's all
She coulda
it's
had
all way
that.
too much for her. Yeah.
She could have had that.
She could have had that.
She could have had
But
that.
would she have wanted it? And then there's all those other questions about her, and yeah.
But I love that. So how did you feel? How do you feel? I mean, it's a huge role. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about it? How do you feel being Hedda?
I feel very confident in Harrison's hands. I'm very confident that he is the eyes on the outside to tell me what it actually looks like. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I would feel as comfortable as I do, at least at this part of the process, with her, were he not on the outside letting me know what it looks like.
Mm-hmm. But how do you actually feel about it?
I feel challenged and excited. Unbelievably excited, because there's this host of opportunities and choices to be made. So I feel so jazzed and alive, and things are moving, and it's all sort of coming out. The cast we've assembled with these fantastic actors are just throwing and firing so much back at me that I feel like it's going to be a very live, primal, fast, like just insanely energetic performance. And Hedda is challenging and an anomaly and a bit of a paradox. And
The frustrating thing about Hedda and about Ibsen, because we think like classical theater,
Right.
we think Shakespeare most of the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Or
Shakespeare, exactly. So Shakespeare and Chekhov, actually, to a certain degree, they give you answers. They tell you things about the people.
Right.
You get windows into their into their souls, into their thinking.
Yeah, there's no subtext in
Yeah,
Shakespeare.
there's
It's all-
no
Exactly.
It's given to you.
It's
Everything
all-
is right there. Yeah.
Hedda, on the other hand, is nothing but subtext. Nothing is ever spoken in plain terms.
no.
Ever. Like, we are never actually... You read the play on the page the first time,
And that's not what it's about.
it's not what it's about.
Yeah.
Because the action of the play seems to spring from nowhere until you begin to read into the subtext, which is actually the whole play. No one tells the truth in this entire play.
You know, we were joking off the mic before about social media and just how, you know, we all take on these like veils of anonymity, and it becomes very passive aggressive, and we never say what we mean unless we're in private. And
Conversations.
then as soon as there's a witness, you know, it's this role comes up, and this sort of mask. And I love that that we were talking about that, because again, it's just so relatable. How are you guys producing it in you know, to sort of tie in like with this modern feeling? Because obviously you're not going with that kind of stale, deadly theater.
Yeah, no corsets.
Yeah,
There's no
corsets.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's not happening.
Except the kinky kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
They're
maybe
gonna be
corsets for
sexy.
kink, not for period.
Nice.
I mean, what we're doing for that is we basically recontextualized it. We're doing it in something a phrase I've been using a lot is open modern to talk about the show.
Cool.
So the costume and the aesthetic of the show is rooted in a sort of, it's a bit of a Tim Burton aesthetic, actually. It's sort of timeless, late 20th century as kind of an open palette that we can extract. So as opposed to doing what you'll often see when people encounter classical work and want to make it feel modern, they'll go, it's this period.
Right.
And they'll go, like, I mean, we've all seen, you know, Twelfth Night as told by the Beatles.
Yeah,
or,
okay,
you know
sure.
what I mean? Like,
Gotcha.
it's not that. Instead, what we've done is we've contextualized, we've contemporized the aesthetic, but only in as much as showing that it. But we're also drawing in like there's a lot of stuff about Hedda's revolvers. Hedda's got these pistols that serve a lot of narrative weight. So we're using antique pistols, but then we're also using like contemporary clothing. So we're kind of we're sampling. We're doing kind of a period sample aesthetic to show that it can occur and has
Anywhere.
occurred constantly and everywhere. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like that.
and opposed to how a lot of the times when companies approach Hedda, it's a lot of the explanations for why characters do what they do, especially the women in the play. It's sort of a lot of weight is put to, oh, that was just the socio-nomical, economical, whatever
Of the time.
societal
Yeah.
pressures
Yeah.
of the time.
Yeah, it was an issue with being like
society
it was,
bringing
it was
women
a
down.
problem of the pre-feminist world.
Exactly.
And
what we're really sort of focusing on is feminism be damned, these are people at the end of the day.
Right.
And we're focusing on the humanity and the psychological aspects that are driving them. And people, the audience is allowed to, take that as it is, as opposed to just tying it up in that nice little feminism bow.
I like that.
That's why.
Which is often how Ibsen is interpreted, especially
Yes.
this play.
Yes.
Is that it's often seen as a statement towards feminism, which it certainly there's a strong reading in that, but it's
Oh, of
ultimately
course.
it dates it and it limits it.
Well, he's way ahead of his time.
Yeah, he was way ahead.
When the
of his
first
time.
productions were shown, they were shut down. People couldn't handle it.
Really?
With the ending. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of his plays. A Doll's House, when A Doll's House first was
I
put
read
on.
that as well. Yep.
Yeah, that was shut down. They forcibly rewrote the ending without his consent
Whoa.
to change it because people couldn't actually handle it. It was too jarring to their minds. And Hedda, they just didn't do it all. It was too and abrupt, and it didn't make any sense. And she was too strong and wild. They just didn't do it. Just shut down.
We open on the 26th of August. We run until the 7th of September.
Dark on Mondays.
Dark on the Monday. Any
Sunday,
matinees?
Sunday, 5
Sunday
p.m.
at a 5. We have a 5:00 matinee on both Sundays. Other than that, it's an 8:30 evening show.
My God, 8:30. What were you thinking?
Everybody knows theater starts at 8.
Gosh! We
what
want
we
to
were
give people a
thinking.
half hour in their evening. What can I
I
say?
wanted to give people a half hour in
Well,
their evening so they weren't busting their balls to
Actually,
get there.
I'm going to say this from a mom's perspective. It's brilliant because, frankly, that's exactly the amount of time that you need to get your kid into bed, the babysitter
Yep.
set up, and for you to have travel
Yep.
time. So thank you
Yep.
very much on behalf of all moms everywhere.
And don't worry, we're not strapping you in for a 3-hour extravaganza. Hedda Gabler is an explosive and timely little piece. It'll be done, I think, what we were thinking, like maybe 2 hours 15? 2 hours for the show, 15 for an intermission.
Yeah, if the actors say their lines as quickly as they're supposed to.
If the moments happen the way they're supposed to happen.
Well, it sounds really fresh.
I'm going to channel some Christopher Walken.
I was sort of going for it.
Other pertinent information. The theater is at 955 Bloor Street West. Storefront theater.
Tickets are going for...
Tickets are $20 a piece. You will be able to get them at LeroyStreetTheatre.com.
And Leroy Street...
and at the door.
And at the door.
And
Okay.
at the door on the day.
One last little thing here. The last production these two were in, the Romeo and Juliet.
Juliet and her Romeo.
Juliet and her Romeo sold out very quickly.
It really did.
Sold out performances. Now, we were lucky enough, because some people couldn't make it, we were able to get tickets for a show, because it was like, well, they're not going to sold out. They sold out. So, they already have a fan base. So go online, get your tickets early, because there is a distinctive chance that these will sell out as well.
That was really awesome, eh?
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was edited because the show's called The Ramble, and we did a lot of rambling.
We really did a lot of rambling,
Yes.
and it was I was also on bed rest, and I was really I was abusing my rambling powers because, as we all know, they're superpowers. Anyways, if you want to buy tickets, please do so. Head over to LeroyStreetTheatre.com in order to pick them up. You can buy them online, and they're $20, and showtime starts at 8:30, and it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, from August 26th till September 7th again.
And it's really cool. They also have, original music by Talon MD, and it's directed by Harrison Thomas. And it's going to be at the Storefront Theatre, which is at Bloor and Ossington. So, check it out.
And if you're listening to this podcast, we have links to everything on bumpandhustle.com.
That's
so you
right.
can always just...
go to thebumpandhustle.com.
Go to bumpandhustle.com.
And then also go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/thebumpandhustle, and for more goodies.
Excellent. So, live theater. We were talking about this earlier. So after baby arrives, getting out...
Seeing a symphony, seeing a band, live music at your
something
local
beyond
pub.
going out to a movie or just the two of you going out for dinner. And I love the theater. Love the theater. It's alive. It's a breathing, living thing. And going and sitting down in the dark with a bunch of people and watching real people on stage emote for you is brilliant.
Yeah,
and you can learn stuff from bad theater, you can learn stuff from good theater, amazing theater, everything. It's just getting out and being alive.
And the cool thing is, too, is that it's a conversation that really only the two of you are going to be able to have if you're on a date, because theater changes day to day. That's the beauty of it, too. Movies don't change. It's permanent theater. I feel like I'm in my university class again. Sorry. But it's true. So, theater changes, and it's fantastic. It's not permanent. And I love that, too. I think you're right. And same thing with music. You go and see live bands play, even if whether it's at a pub, or you go and see a symphony thing, or you go and see, any kind of live performance. It really, really infuses you with energy.
There's a Busker Fest in Toronto, I believe, and there probably is some beautiful. I apologize, I don't know the actual dates and stuff of it, but
I can't believe you.
I heard people talking about it. I was like, that sounds so cool. Or just
There's
go
a lot of
go
stuff.
walking down Queen Street and find a guy who's playing the guitar or violin. Go into Starbucks, get yourself a coffee, throw a buck in his case, and sit down and listen to him play for a while.
With it on a date.
That could be cool.
It might be okay.
There's a wonderful story.
I'm just saying, I don't think I want to do that with you.
Okay.
I love busking.
I get that. No,
but I don't
I'm
think
just gonna say one thing.
Can we sit down when we go on our date, please?
Let's say one thing, okay? There's this wonderful, I think I saw it on Upworthy, and basic story of it is there is this virtuoso violin player, and he was doing a concert in Washington. So he went to the Washington train station and just started to play his violin. And he played for 2 hours, a 2-hour private concert for everybody walking through the train station. And he said he made about $15. And a couple people stopped and listened, but most people just ignored him. That night, he played a concert where tickets were minimum $200 a ticket, and the place was sold out. And he gave away the exact same concert for free in the afternoon. So sometimes it's nice to put the phone down and pay attention to the world around you.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a really cute, if we were making an indie romance movie from the 1990s, I would love that date.
You know what?
Can we do that?
I think you should send a message out to people who ride bikes without helmets.
Oh my gosh, okay. We're going to leave off without movie from memory because
instead
we're going to call this segment
other
Angry Pregnant Rage.
Just for me.
Oh, sorry.
No, for
Sorry.
the people out there, this is not for me at all. What would be a good after baby date that you might enjoy? For the people out there, I'm not taking notes or anything.
Something that's live. It could be anything from teppanyaki to going out and seeing live music. But if you have ideas, you should drop a comment on our Facebook page.
Yes. Let us know what were some of the amazing dates you got up to after baby, because, that's just an amazing thing. Yeah.
After baby, whether it's with baby tagging along, or baby asleep and getting a sitter, and when you were able to break away and do that. So anyways, do that for sure. And now, a message to people who ride bicycles without helmets. Okay. Seriously, I don't know why. I get the new thing that bothers the pregnant lady.
This is the funniest thing when you're driving and everything's calm. CBC Radio 1 will be on. Gian Gameshi. It's like, hey, everybody, how's it going? And then all of a sudden it's like, God, you're a cute, pretty woman in a nice dress. I like it. Where's your helmet?
It's totally true. Okay. It bothers me when people don't wear helmets. It bothers me even more for some reason, when they're adorable and they're ready for work or a date or going out with their friends or something, and they look all cute and their hair is all fresh and they're looking all styled and they're not wearing a freaking helmet. What the hell is that? Okay, seriously, it makes me so angry. So please wear your stupid helmets and don't worry about your dumb hair. I swear to God, it's so frustrating. I'm sure it'll look really good. And also, these places have bathrooms. You're not in Siberia. You can fix your hair when you get there, people. Oh my God. Also, get off the sidewalk.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm 9 months pregnant. I'm allowed to basically say anything. This is awesome.
Last night, we're standing on the sidewalk with the dog, talking to our neighbors.
Pregnant.
Person comes by on a bike and is like, ka-ching, ka-ching, could you move, please? I'm like, this is a pregnant woman. Get the hell off the sidewalk.
I know. And she wasn't wearing a helmet. And she was cute. It really upset me. It was like a threefold anger thing.
So she's named this big, fat guy on a bike. You wouldn't care?
I do care. I care equally about everybody. It's just that it bothers me. It really bothers me when I see, young women who have, their lives ahead of them and they're choosing, their hair over their lives. Literally. I could You're like, seriously.
So what are
like,
your feelings on the pretty young woman who not only is riding her bike, not only without a helmet, but is texting?
Okay, yeah,
as she's riding
that
her
actually
bike?
happened, people, and I almost lost it. I can't even talk about it right now because
I didn't tell you this afternoon, but the same thing happened last night. Someone texting.
Seriously?
Someone texting went right through a red light when I was walking the dog today.
Here's what I'm going to say. Distracted driving is distracted driving. I don't care if you're on a bicycle. I don't care if you're on a text board. I don't care. A text board.
A text board. I don't care if you're on an abacus doing math. You don't do that when you're riding a bike.
You don't do it. I don't want anybody skateboarding and texting. I don't want anybody like pogo sticking and texting. I don't want anybody, listen, walking and texting. Seriously.
The person who got the message from the pogo, what the hell does this even mean? Really? Arbithuga.
Yeah.
Damn
But
autocorrect.
I can't. Actually, there's a really great post by Sharon Vellis on the on our Facebook page, and it's at yummymummyclub.ca. But it's about distracted driving. And it's really, really, really important that you read it. So head over and check it out, and I'll repost it in the link here.
On one of these said drives where she was yelling at somebody who didn't have their helmet on.
I do that often.
I highly recommend you go to thebumpandhustle.com and read Kat's latest article. It's a 4-part series on one of our many false labors, but the latest false labor, which was absolutely epic. Kat had been up for 48 plus hours in extreme pain. We were 100% convinced that this was baby, and it's pretty epic. And let me just tell you, I think we'll probably podcast it too after, maybe after baby, but we'll podcast it because you will get my uncensored version and my outsider's view of it.
You wish.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, fine. I agree. You're allowed. You're allowed to do that. Yes, the series starts off and it's called Because When You're in Labor, the Car Will Break Down. And so you choose to tune into that at thebumpandhustle.com. And also, I also just put something up about if you are pregnant and you want to rock your bump and you don't want to get any kind of mat clothes that is just, I don't know what it is with mat clothes, but I was super duper happy. I walked into a little boutique store called Belly Maternity up at Mount Pleasant in Eglinton. And got to know the owner, and she's amazing. And I have a little bit of a breakdown. My take on Belly Maternity, also at thebumpandhustle.com. Okay? Well,
excellent. Well, thank you very much for listening.
Yeah.
And ramble on.
Until tomorrow. Until
tomorrow.
the baby comes out.
I'm gonna
God,
settle down.
ramble on.
Maybe tomorrow the whole world is my home.
I really like your singing, Heath.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I'm gonna be a folk singer.
Okay. CD. That's just bad writing.
All right,
Okay, stop it.
So
We have to go now.
we're going.
We're going. Oh.
Ramble on.